So good morning everyone. My name is Lalit Soni and I welcome you all in this live session by Drishti IAS. So we'll be talking about today's Indian Express newspaper and we'll take a few articles. So let's start. I will not waste any more of your time because we are already late. So I'm sorry for the delay. So let's start with the first article. Or before that, we'll be talking about the practice question which was given to you in the last class, and then we'll move forward with these three important articles, that is the white paper on Indian economy. So basically, in the budget speech, our finance minister has said that they will be coming up with a white paper, whereas they will be comparing the term of UPA in terms of economy and then what NDA has done to change that. So that white paper has put forward in the parliament. So we'll be talking about that, and then RBI policy stands unchanged. So basically, day before yesterday also we have taken this article wherein we have discussed that RBI might not change their repo rate this time because of certain economical, or you can say inflation related issues. So now they have come up with their report and they have said that they will not be changing it. So we'll be talking about that numbers once again. Okay, though we might not go that much deep this time because we have discussed it day before yesterday, but we will take up that article. And then debate around quota. So yesterday also we have said that Supreme Court is saying that those people who has taken advantage of let's say a reservation, they should let it go and take other people of the strata the advantage. So basically, there is this case, EV Chinnaya case, because of which Supreme Court, in which case Supreme Court has said that this community, that is SC community, is basically a homogeneous community, wherein we can say that we cannot divide it further. Okay, but they have reversed, or sorry, they have reserved their judgment as of now. So we'll be talking about the debate, what are the argument which has been placed by both the sides. Okay, we'll be talking about that, and then there is one article for your own read, and we'll be seeing the practice question. This is front page of today's newspaper, that is related to this white paper which we will be talking about. And then union of state becoming union over state, Kerala CM as opposition joins the protest. So these protests are being held because of certain issues, wherein it is said that centers discriminatory allocation in the funds and the safeguarding the constitutional right of the states. Okay, so that is why this protest was going on. That is, you can say, issue of federalism. When we are talking about allocation of fund, that issue has always persisted, and because of the population related issues, etc., all these things are, or when we are talking about the southern states, there are some reservation when we are talking about the allocation of the funds, and because of which they are coming to protest in Delhi. So that is one article. Right now we will not going into details of it because right now it is of a political nature. We know that there are general elections, etc. So if there is some kind of editorial or something which gives a clear picture, then we will be talking about this article. Okay, now let's start with the first you can say slide, that is finance minister table white paper on economy in parliament. Okay, so this was actually discussed in the budgetary speech as well. Okay, and when we are talking about a white paper means a particular document which is talking about a specific topic. Okay, everything about that particular specific topic. Okay, per se, when we are talking about this particular document which was presented in the parliament, that is not a white paper, but you can say a document of, you can say, a review of the Indian economy in the last decade and this decade. Okay, but the thing is they have called it a white paper, so we will also call it a white paper. Okay, now Union Ministry of Finance said Thursday that decade-long UPA rule under Congress-led government from 2004-5 to 13-14 turns India into a India from a healthy economy in 2004 to stagnant economy. So basically here they are saying that, let's say when we are talking about the first term of UPA which started in 2004, and before that, you know that 1991 we have gone for the our LPG reforms, or you can say that economic reforms. Okay, so according to our finance minister, it is the condition that after 1991 till 2004 economy was kind of in a healthy condition. Because of these reforms, economy was doing quite well. Okay, and because of which in the first term of UPA they have also gained out of it, because since economy was healthy and since the background was quite strong. Okay, so they have also seen a good growth, or when we are talking about the number of GDP, etc., they have seen good growth. But after 2014, slowly, there are certain factors which has happened, like they have reduced the capital expenditure, they have gone for various loans, and because of which NPAs, non-performing assets, basically increased, because of which the financial health of the banking sector got, you can say, their health was not doing better at that particular point of time, or balance sheet of the banks was not performing well. So all these things happened after 2004. That is what finance minister has put forward in the parliament. Okay, so now see, sorry, I have this cold, so bear with it. It was marked by strained public finances, corruption scams, double-digit inflation, ailing banking sector following excessive lending during the boom phase, and policy uncertainty. So here, as we have talked about, there was this issues related to non-performing assets. So financial sector was not doing good, and then there was this corruption-related activities. You must have heard about this 2G scam, and then that telecom spectrum scam, which has happened at that particular point of time. All these things were mentioned in that particular thing, and they have said that the inflation at that particular point of time, inflation was also in double digits. Okay, nearly 8% inflation we have seen at that particular point of time. Okay, and then there are other things that is related to your excessive lending, which we have already talked about. Okay, it was a crisis situation. The responsibility to amend the economy step by step and to put the governance system in order was enormous. So finance minister said that, after this particular term of 10 years, when 2014 the NDA government took over, this is, here we are talking about UPA, and then when NDA alliance came over and they took over the government, so the responsibility was enormous because the deteriorating condition of the economy in the last decade. Okay, so here you can say the framing of the white paper on Indian economy couldn't have been more overtly political. Second thing is, right now they have put forward this paper. Why right now? Because the thing is, they have said that that we will be discussing. The second thing is, now we are going towards a general election as well. Okay, so that is one thing. The paper authored by finance ministry. So this paper was written by or prepared by the finance ministry. This set the tone for the paper, which then goes to flag worst of the economy during UPA's decade. Okay, so basically they are saying that some critics or some experts are saying that they have taken the worst out of that economic time. Okay, the time of the era when we are talking about 2003, 2013, 14. So they are saying that they have taken the worst out of that particular time, and they have discussed this in the white paper. Okay, so now let's see what is the issue behind it. So when we are talking about a white paper, so it is something, as I told you, it is a document which talks about a specific thing. But when we are talking about this white paper, this is talking about the various aspects of the economy. So we cannot say that it is a white paper, but anyways, they have said it that it is a white paper. So they are basically comparing 10-year round economic growth of UPA and NDA. Okay, so we have known that the term was 2004-5 to 2013-14, that is UPA 1 and 2, and then NDA came, and that was 2014-15 to 23-24. Okay, so now what is a white paper, and is this one a white paper? As I told you, white papers are catering to specific issue, but this is not catering to one issue, but various aspects of the economy. So that is why this is not per se a white paper. Okay, so because variety of economic parameter and comprehensive review of the state of Indian economy has been discussed in that, then why it is being presented now? So now our finance minister said that at the point of time when they took over from the UPA, if they have gone for the white paper at that particular point of time, it would have given a wrong impression. Okay, one thing is that that might have been a political issue. Okay, you can think that if last government has gone and the current government is criticizing the last government based on something, so that is not a right signal to give. Other than that, when we are talking about in economy terms, if they have given that particular paper at that particular point of time, and the real picture of the economy which was to be put forward in the parliament, so people of the country might get disturbed out of it. Other than that, when we are talking about investors, or when we are talking about the market sentiments, when we are talking about stock market, etc., they works on the sentiment. Okay, such paper might have disturbed the economy at that point of time. Okay, then they have decided to rectify it, and once they rectified it or they are on the path of rectifying it, they have said that now we can compare that at particular point of time in the UPA 1 and 2 that was the condition, and now in next 10 years we have changed this much. Okay, so that is why they have given this particular paper right now. Now giving this paper, the idea behind presenting this paper was to attract investment, to give a positive or optimistic message to people that Indian economy is doing well. Now you can come and invest here. Okay, so that our economy even grow at the faster pace. We have a target of 5 trillion. Okay, so we will be able to achieve if we attract the investments, and that is why we have presented this paper. Okay, so what is the objective? So there are 4 objectives that has been discussed here. That is to inform everyone of the nature and the extent of the governance, economic and the fiscal crisis that was bequeathed to NDA government, or you can say transferred from UPA to NDA government at that particular point of time. So they are saying that the economic condition or the economy in the crisis at that particular point of time was transferred to NDA government. So that is one thing. So they are actually trying to give you the status of the economy at that particular point of time, how NDA took over. Okay, so that is one thing. Second thing is to inform about the policies and the measures that NDA government took to restore the health of the economy. One thing is that first goal was to tell you that how economy was at that particular point of time. Second goal is to tell you that now what NDA has done to rectify it, to make it better. Okay, then here you can say 3 is to tell you about the paramountcy of the national interest and the fiscal responsibility. They are saying that now we are telling you that there is this fiscal responsibility, and now we are making sure this is the priority right now. That is one, fiscal responsibility, and second is national interest. 4, it quotes the Prime Minister's speech. Here you can say that to commit ourselves to national development with a new inspirations, new consciousness, new resolution as the country opens up immense possibility and opportunities. Okay, so they have quoted Prime Minister, and they are saying that it is to commit to the new opportunities which are available. Okay, so ultimately taking advantage of the new opportunities, that is your demographic dividend, and now economy is in the good health. So at this particular point of time we can pick up the pace for our next aspirational targets, that is Viksit Bharat at 2047. Now what does the report say? So this is a 58 pages of report, but there are certain things which are important which we will discuss. That is part 1 of the report talks about the macroeconomic situations. Macroeconomy, when we are talking about, it is about GDP, poverty, unemployment. All these things are basically macroeconomic elements, out of which few were discussed here. Okay, then part 2 talks about the current status of the various corruption scams of the UPA government. So they have talked about the current status of those scams. Okay, then part 3 shows NDA turned the economy around, how the NDA government has turned the economy around. So these are the 3 parts which has been discussed in the report. And then the UPA government inherited a healthy economy ready for more reforms, but they made it non-performing in 10 years. So basically, as I told you, from 1991 till 2004, economy was doing good because of the reforms. Now that was the time you should have gone for more reforms. Okay, but the thing is, after 2004 to 2013 they did not go for any kind of reform, and because of which they actually made it a non-performing economy, because you know that there were issues of non-performing assets. And then at that particular point of time we have seen inflation was high, unemployment was high, all these things. When we are talking about poverty, it was nearly around 27 to 28% at that particular point of time. So all these things led to a non-performing economy as per the report. And then UPA abandoned the economic reforms, as I told you, and then in a quest to maintain high economic growth by any means after the global financial crisis in 2008, somewhere between, there was this global financial crisis. Okay, so at that particular point of time our economy was they have lended too much from the international market as well. Okay, external borrowings were high. Other than that also, when we are talking about the high inflation, etc., so our economy was kind of in a vulnerable state. We have recently opened up our economy, so somehow external shock might penetrate into our economy. At that particular point of time they have taken an approach to grow at any cost. So what they did that, so they started undermining the macroeconomic foundations. Okay, so they have not cared about the high inflation at that point of time, because inflation somehow act as a incentive for producers to produce. Okay, so they have thought, if inflation is increasing, let it increase, but we will go for the growth. Okay, right now when we are talking about the monetary policy, our aim is to check the inflation and then grow. At that particular point of time, they have gone for only for the growth. Okay, so they have not gone for the control of inflation and fiscal deficit at that point of time. So because of which our economy suffered. Okay, so high proportions of the bad loans, fiscal deficit, in inflation, that has actually affected the economic activities. Not only UPA borrowed heavily from the market. Okay, they have applied it unproductively. So they have borrowed from the market, they have taken fiscal market borrowings, but they did not utilize this properly. So that was another thing. They did not go for any kind of capital expenditure. So at that point of time when we are talking about, that was nearly 16%. Capital expenditure was 31% in 2004 when they have got into power, and at the point of time when they left, it was nearly 16%, that is nearly half of it. Right now when we are talking about NDA, it is somewhere around 18 to 29, 29 to so 28 to 29%. Okay, now health expenditure was not seen any improvement at that point of time. Defense expenditure did not see any improvement. There was no defense procurement. Okay, modernization was not done at that point of time. Okay, so UPA's decade was marked by the policy misadvantages, scams, transparent auctions of the public resources. All these things has happened at that particular point of time, because of which economy was in a bad shape as per the report. Okay, now after that they have said that what they have done. So basically they have gone for the GST reforms, they have gone for the insolvency and the bankruptcy code, etc. So all these things has basically tackle the issues of non-performing assets. And then when we are talking about the revenue generation, that was because of the GST that increases. So all these things was done in the NDA's decade. Okay, so now what is the upshot? So we have talked about it. Second thing is, there was some analysts who are saying that, no doubt we are saying that inflation was high at that point of time. Okay, fine, but why it was high? Because of the first was global financial crisis was there. Okay, second thing is, in 2013-14, or when we are talking about the just time just a year before that, the prices of crude oil was nearly 105 to 115 or 111 dollars per barrel. Okay, so here you can say that the cost of crude oil was something which was actually contributing to the inflation. Okay, when the NDA government came, at that point of time, this cost was reduced to nearly, you can say, 84 dollar to even at that point of time 46 US dollars. Okay, so we can say that the inflation was checked by NDA because of low crude oil prices. Okay, that is one thing. Other than that, when we are talking about this data, so they have not, in this data they have not talked about the GDP, or when we are talking about this particular white paper, they have not talked about GDP, they have not talked about unemployment. Okay, why? Because GDP growth data was doing better during the UPA's time. Okay, and when we are talking about unemployment, so even our own report said in 2018 said that unemployment was high, and at that point of time that report was not made public. Okay, so when we are talking about this, here you can say that when we are talking about GDP, here nominal growth was 14, nearly 15%. At the time of NDA, it is nearly 10%. Okay, when we are talking about fiscal deficit, that is nearly 4.7% at the time of UPA government. Now it is 5.1%. So when we are talking about GDP, fiscal deficit, when we are talking about employment terms, so numbers are saying that the UPA regime was better. So that is why these numbers were not included in the white paper. Other than that, also when we are talking about you can say census, NDA government could not go for the decadal census. Okay, that is the first time after 1881 that census was not conducted. Okay, so that is another issue when we are talking about NDA's you can say where NDA has lagged behind. Okay, most of the time when we are talking about NDA has done some achievements in the form of GST, in the form of various reforms, ease of doing business, in all that front NDA government has done well, but there are certain things where NDA also has lacked. Okay, so other than that, when we are talking about this data as well, when we are talking about the GDP sector, that is there is one another reason. At the time of UPA we have seen this global financial crisis. At the time of NDA we have seen COVID. Okay, so ultimately, we can say that there was two major shock. One was in the term of UPA and one was in the term of NDA as well. So this is about your white paper, which has been talked about in the explained section of the economy, which we have discussed in detail. Right now, we can move further with the next article that is related to your RBI's monetary policy. When we are talking about monetary policy committee, there is this monetary policy committee. There are 6 members. Out of 6, 3 are from your government, 3 are from RBI. Okay, and this is chaired by the RBI governor. Okay, now they will decide on the monetary policy, or you can say that the on the issue of inflation. When we are talking about monetary policy or money related policy, it is arena of RBI. When we are talking about fiscal policy, fiscal policy, or anything related to money matters in the legislation or the taxation etc., that is the arena of, you can say, our government, okay, or parliament. So RBI has left the repo rate unchanged. Food inflation uncertainty persists. Okay, so here we will be talking about this particular article. We will not go much into details of it, but we will cater to the important parts here. Okay, as expected, because before yesterday also we have talked about one article. We have said that RBI might not change their policy instance this time, so they have kept the repo rate at 6.5%. Last time they have changed it in February 2023, so nearly 1 year ahead. Okay, so at that point of time it was nearly 6.25. They have changed it to 6.5, and now since the last 1 year it is 6.5 only. Okay, when we are talking about this monetary policy committee, they meet bi-monthly. Okay, so now stance of the monetary policy was also not changed. Stance means, you can say, the agenda, withdrawal of accommodation. Right now they are on the withdrawal of accommodation. Here they means that the supply of money or liquidity, that will not increase. Okay, that will not increase, so that will be kept same. Okay, or you can say that it is somehow, you can say, a tightening of the liquidity. Okay, so that is one thing. They have not changed it as of now. Okay, now here you can say they have given the growth prospectus as well. Growth prospect, like they have said that economy will grow at the pace of 7%. Okay, NSO last year said that it will be growing at the pace of 7.3%, but RBI is saying that it will be growing at 7%. Okay, so that is even our other reports, or our budget, our Indian economy review report, that is also saying that it will grow at the 7% or even larger. Okay, so that is same. Other than that, they have given about the forecast of inflation. They said that will be nearly around 5.4%. Okay, so that is outside the bracket. RBI has a target of inflation to be kept at 4%, and they can allow it to be up and down by 2%. Okay, so that is the bracket, 2% to 6%, but the target is to keep it at a 4% for a longer duration. Okay, now what will happen to the lending deposit rates? So basically, since repo rate is not changed, repo rate is the rate at which banks can borrow from RBI to cater to their short term demands. Okay, but because of the repo rate, all the other deposit rates or the policy rates are basically attached to it, and since repo rate is not changed, so there might not be any considerable change in the you can say loan rates etc. Okay, so that is one thing. So there might not be very much change. Okay, then there are certain here you can say there are retail loans which are to be given on the MCLR. Okay, that is your marginal cost of fund based lending rate. Okay, so when we are talking about MCLR or the retail loans, they are saying that there might be an increase in the interest cost because of the risk weightage which RBI has given, because recently we have seen that loans are being given by the financial, this non NBFCs etc. So because of which, considering the risk behind it, they have said that there are certain risks, so because of which the banks by themselves can go for increasing the interest rate in the loans. Okay, other than that, when we are talking about the deposits, okay, so in the terms of deposit, there are chances that banks can increase the rates on the deposit line, because when we are talking about competition in the market, there are now mutual funds, etc. So mutual funds are giving better returns when we are talking about deposits in the bank, and because of which they are saying that they might increase the deposit interest rate, okay, so that customer can gain better returns. Now the thing is, why mutual funds are having more returns. We know that mutual funds are subjected to risk. If there is a more risk, returns are even can be higher. But the thing is, banks are your safe deposits. Okay, so that is why their interest rates are kind of lower. So that is, deposit rates might get increased. Okay, why RBI has kept the repo rate unchanged? So we have discussed all these things. Okay, when we are talking about the inflation, etc. Hold on. So when we are talking about inflation, okay, so we have seen that recently inflation has been somewhere around 5 to 6%, 5 to 5.89% around. Okay, now RBI has said that that is not our target. Our target is 4%. So since our target is not yet achieved, so we will not change the stance as of now. Okay, so that is one thing. Other than that, also they are saying that it is to manage the inflation and the growth. Okay, so when we are talking about monetary policy, it will take both the things, that is you can say your retail inflation as well as the growth. Okay, so as I told you, the inflation rates has been somewhere around 5 to 6% in the last few months. So now they are saying that our target is 4%, and when we are talking about the forecast for the financial year 25 also, that is 4.5%, even then it is outside our target, so we will not change the stance. Other than that, food inflation outlook, when we are talking about our agriculture sector, etc., so no doubt rabi crops will be seeing a growth, but the thing is, there are certain extreme events, there are possibility of certain extreme events, because of which they have kept this thing that food prices might be volatile in the next few months. That is why also they have not changed it. Okay, now what is the basis of 7% GDP projections? So we have talked about this various times, that our economic, when we are talking about the domestic demand, that is doing good, and consumers are spending. So that is some reasons because of which they are saying that our GDP growth will be at the 7%. When we are talking about the aspect that why they have decreased forecast from NSO's forecast of 7.3%, because we know that there are certain geopolitical crises which are happening. Okay, geopolitical issues which are going in the West Asia, and because of which our shipment or the trade with the Europe, and when we are talking about the oil, there are some kind of supply constraints, and that is why they have said that this will be at around 7%. Geopolitical tensions, volatility in the international financial market, geo-economic fragmentation pose risk of to the outlook. So that is why we have kept it to 7%. Okay, among the key drivers are demand side, and household consumption is expected to improve. Upturn in the private capex cycle. Okay, so government is going for, they have said that since they have built the basic infrastructure, now it is time for the capital, or you can say private sector, to come and invest. So we are relying on the private sector capital expenditure cycle. Okay, improved business sentiment, healthy balance sheet of the banks, corporate and the governments to continue thrust to the capital expenditure. So all these are reasons behind this particular forecast. Other than that, they have mentioned that El Nino might affect the rainfall, and ultimately that will affect the agriculture, and that is why this food inflation outlook they have considered. Why there is no change in the policy stance? They have not changed the policy stance because they have said that our economic, or you can say our inflationary target is not yet matched. That is why we are not going for that. There are some experts which are saying that there should be some release in the liquidity, because there are, when we are talking about the real estate sector, etc., they are kind of inflation is increasing over there. Okay, rates are quite increasing over there. So that is why they have said that from the withdrawal they should go for the neutral instance, but the RBI has kept it to same, that is withdrawal of accommodation. Okay, so that is about your repo rate related issues. Now moving further, court reserves verdict, debate around subcategorization of the SC quota. So yesterday we have talked about it. So we will take it in a very lighter discussion, you can say. 7-judge bench is there because earlier judgment was given by the 5-judge benches. Or when we are talking about, whenever we are talking about to reverse a judgment or to review a judgment, so a larger bench will go for it. Okay, so since the earlier judgment, which that is E.V. Chinnaya judgment, which was given by a 5-judge bench, and that is why we are considering a 7-judge bench right now. Okay, so we have talked about this particular issue, that states are saying that there should be subcategorization in the SC community as well. But the thing is, there is this judgment of Supreme Court which says that there cannot be subcategorization because SC community is a homogeneous community. Okay, so everyone in the community is same, and you cannot discriminate among the community based on who has suffered more or less, because mostly when we are talking about SC communities, they have gone with this issue of or discrimination etc. Related to untouchability etc. But we cannot say that since inside the community he has gone through some less amount of untouchability, so that would not be a good thing to say. That is why they have said that it is a homogeneous class, we cannot actually discriminate among them. Okay, but then there are further developments which we'll be talking about. Okay, so now there is this there are two things which I have discussed here, that is, one is E.V. Chinnaya judgment, that as I told you, that is related to the homogeneity of the SC community, and second thing is Article 314 of the Indian Constitution, wherein President can notify a list of these communities. Okay, so that President has the power. Now states are saying that even in our Article 16, even states has the power, because Article 16 says that state can do it if there is a lack of representation. Okay, so when we are talking about Article 314, it becomes important for you. Article 16, which is talking about the affirmation action, so you can read that article as well. Other than that, this judgment, that is E.V. Chinnaya, okay, so that is discussed in here, so that becomes important. Okay, so let's see how it issue was begin. So in 1975 in Punjab, government has given a subcategorization in the already 25% SC reservation which was there. Okay, so they have said that there are two communities, that is Valmiki and the Madhabi Sikh community. So these community will be given a preference. Okay, so there is a 25% reservation in Punjab, and in Punjab government has come up with this preference to these two communities. Now it was challenged in the court. Okay, and it was struck by the High Court. Okay, I will not go into much details of it because that is not important for us. So that was here, they have given the preference, and then it was for 30 years it kept on going, and then it was challenged in the High Court in 2004. But the thing is, before that particular case, that when it was challenged in the High Court, before that there was this E.V. Chinnaya case, and E.V. Chinnaya case said that you cannot subcategorize. Okay, and because of which, citing this, the High Court of Punjab and Haryana also struck down this particular preference which was given to SC communities in the Punjab. Okay, now that Punjab government has attempted to bring it back, so Punjab attempted to bring it back in 2006, and they have come up with the Punjab Scheduled Caste and Backward Classes Reservation in Service 2006 Act. They have reintroduced it, and in 2010 again High Court has struck it down. Okay, then in 2014 they have went to the Supreme Court in the appeal. Okay, wherein there was the case, that is Ravinder Singh versus State of Punjab, referred appeal to 5-judge bench. Okay, so that was a appeal in 5-judge benches. Okay, now reconsidering Chinnaya. So recently there was this demand by various states that there should be a reconsideration of this case, and continuing that, the bench of 7 judges was formed, because already this was the judgment of 5-judge bench, E.V. Chinnaya was the judgment of 5-judge bench. That is why they have gone for the, you can say, a 7-judge bench. Okay, now in 2020 Constitution bench headed by the Justice Arun Mishra, they have said that 2004 decision require a reconsideration. Okay, other than that also there are various judgments. Let's say here Jarnail Singh versus Lakshmi Narayan Gupta. So this judgment even becomes important, that is Jarnail Singh versus Lakshmi Narayan Gupta. This particular judgment upheld the concept of creamy layer in the SC communities. Now the thing is, making a creamy layer in SC community says that you are subcategorization. Okay, you are going for the subcategorization. Here state have argued that The sub classification is essentially an application of creamy layer formula. So if you are going for the creamy layer, that means that you are sub categorizing it. So that is why now 7-judge bench is considering the issue. Okay, argument from the both sides, which we have already seen, that E.V. Chennaiya was mistaken when it held that the state could not tamper with the class that comprise president's order under Article 341. Okay, so Article 314 is the list which presidents gave. So now they have said that when Chennaiya judgment said that state cannot tamper with the list. Okay, so now state has given this argument that Article 16(4) clause 4 said that it allows states to provide reservation for backward classes who are not adequately represented in the state services. So basically here state has the power to change the list. Okay, so that is the article argument. Other than that also there is this another article, that is Article 342A, which says that Constitution made it clear that the Chennaiya decision could not apply any longer. The provision specifically empowers state and union territory to maintain a list of socially and economically backward classes which may be different from the president's list. So Article 342A says that state can have their own list. Okay, so ultimately now the Constitution is saying that state can have their own list. So this argument does not subsist that Chennaiya gives that state cannot tamper with the list. Okay, now state can have their own list. Okay, now respondent had argued that presidential list suffers from a taint of untouchability. Respondents who are saying that why it should be homogenized. Okay, so basically they are saying that the list which president makes, that is because of the discrimination based on the untouchability. Now saying that some people has suffered more untouchability and some people has suffered less, that is not constitutional or that is not right. Okay, so that is what is their argument. If a community named in presidential list did not receive reservation benefit, they would only be left with the stigma of scheduled caste. The state did not have the discrimination to ignore the scheduled caste in favor of others. Okay, so basically that is the argument which has been put forward by these things. Here 2-3 things are important, that is, one is your Article 341, Article 342A, Article 16 and E.V. Chennaiya case, and then there is this case, that is Lakshmi Narayan Janay Singh versus Lakshmi Narayan Gupta. Okay, so that is about this article. Now we can move further with the next article, that is free movement along border with Myanmar being suspended. So basically we have talked about this 1643 kilometers of boundary which we have with Myanmar, and we have a free movement regime with Myanmar. Okay, now we are saying that we are going for the fencing of the border and this free movement regime will end. Okay, why? There are certain reservations which are given by the center. They have said that first thing, there is issue of security because there is civil war going on in the Myanmar, and there are apprehensions that there will be a migration and those people will enter into India through Mizoram and Myanmar's border, Manipur's border. Okay, so that is one thing, and because of which they are saying that this free movement regime should be cancelled. Now what is free regime movement? We have discussed in the details earlier as well. It is a movement, or you can say people living here or the citizen of India and Myanmar living in the 16-kilometer vicinity of the border. Okay, 16 kilometer of either side, they can go inside each other's territory without any visa. They can stay there up to you can say stay of 2 weeks is permissible without a visa. Okay, and they need to go for they need to ask for a pass from the government, that is 1 year, that has the validity of 1 year. Okay, so that is because the cultural affinity these communities has with each other, and that is why this free movement regime was started in 2018, but now it is being suspended. Okay, so now let's move forward. That is India likely to begin LNG supply to Sri Lanka by the next year. Okay, so basically there is this you can say outfit or our operator, that is Petronet LNG. Okay, so there are various promoter of this particular group, that is Indian Oil Corporation, GAIL, Bharat Petroleum Corporation, ONGC sector. They are all promoter of this Petronet LNG. Okay, So now what they are doing is they are dealing with the LNG here. Okay, India is likely to start supplying liquefied natural gas to Sri Lanka by the end of the next year and will eventually establish offshore regasification terminal at the Colombo port. Okay, so what we are doing is we are going for the supply of LNG to Sri Lanka, and second thing is we will be going for a offshore regasification terminal, or this is also said as floating storage regasification unit. Okay, why it is floating? Because it will be inside the inside a vessel. Okay, since we are talking about a offshore regasification unit, so that is why it is the floating storage regasification unit. Okay, Petronet LNG has a long-term LNG purchase agreements with Qatar and Australia. When we are talking about LNG purchase, there are different tools. That is, one is long-term contracts. Here we can say that long-term purchase agreements, and then we have spot contracts. That is on spot, or you can say short-term contracts they can be said. Okay, so we have with Qatar and Australia now and operators to land-based regasification terminals. We have regasification terminals at Dahej, 2 terminals at Dahej in Gujarat and 1 in Kochi. Okay, so now we are trying to go for a infrastructure based on LNG, or you can say petrol, these gases. When we are talking about LNG, CNG, etc., we are trying to create an infrastructure so that we can go for lesser reliance. Okay, so now we are going to sell LNG to Sri Lanka. Okay, so around 80% of the India's LNG imports are through long-term deals, and while the remaining are through spot contracts. Long-term LNG contracts are more stable in terms of pricing, while spot contracts are more prone to price volatility because they are short-term. Okay, so that is about your LNG infra. And now Sri Lanka is celebrating 76 years of independence. Sri Lanka got independence in 1948. Okay, so and why we should invest in Sri Lanka? Because first port in South Asia, that is Colombo port. Okay, we have other thing that is related to your 5G technology, etc. When we are talking about Sri Lanka, it is important for us from various perspectives in the Indian Ocean region. Other than that, influence of China, if it is there in our neighborhood, we are trying to countering it. Okay, so all these things are kind of important for us. So that is why we have taken this article. Now, for your own read, there is this article related to smart cities. Okay, so there are 400 smart city mission projects which are to miss the deadline of June 30 deadline. Okay, so basically this deadline earlier was for June 2023, but this was extended to June 2024, and now it was also seen that it might miss. But now central government has said that if you are missing this deadline, so state must take over. Okay, and central will not do anything. Now state must take over and fulfill the or finish the project. Okay, here I have talked about the smart city mission, so you can go and read this particular chart that will cover your smart city mission. Okay, so when we are talking about smart here, so it is clear that we are going to enhance the new technology or the modern technology in the infrastructure development over there. Here you can see that e-governance, citizen services, etc. Then waste management will be there, water management will be there, sanitation will be there, energy management will be there, urban mobility, and there will be other services, etc. Okay, so there are 6 fundamental principles, okay, which are discussed here of this smart cities mission. So you can go and have a read. Okay, there are certain challenges and way ahead. Okay, so you can go through it as well. Now we can move to the practice question. Which of the following is not a member of BIMSTEC? Okay, yesterday we have talked about BIMSTEC. So now you can give your answer. Which of the following is not a member of BIMSTEC? That is Nepal, Myanmar, Sri Lanka and Cambodia. So you have to choose the correct option and reply in the comment box. So with that, I would like to take your leave. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel. With that, thank you. Have a nice day.